Hi everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Gretchen Hawley. I am a physical therapist and a multiple sclerosis certified specialist. And I have found myself repeating over and over and over again 3 different tips, specifically this month and last month, to almost all of the patients that I treat who have multiple sclerosis, which tells me these are things that a lot of people may not understand, yet are very valuable and necessary that you understand. So what I want to do right now is go over what those 3 tips are. The very first one directly relates to this time of year. It's summer, and we have to talk about heat intolerance, but not only that, what to do when you're having your symptoms because of the heat. So I just want to say for 1 second, for those of you who don't know, heat intolerance does not necessarily mean the temperature outside. It is your core temperature. So if your core temperature raises just by 1 degree, some neurologists will even say by half a degree, you could get one or many of your symptoms. And unfortunately, that means you can even be sitting inside in air conditioning on a very hot and humid day, but you're still getting at least 1 or more of your symptoms. I like to compare the effects of heat intolerance on MS to the same as the effects of a damp, dreary, rainy day to someone who has arthritis. Someone who has arthritis does not need to be standing in the rain, pouring down on them in order for them to feel stiff and achy and gross all day. They just wake up in the morning feeling that way. And unfortunately, that's the same with heat intolerance. If you are in an environment that is humid and hot, even if you're inside, you can get your symptoms. So it is important to know these tips that you can do for heat intolerance to keep your symptoms low or non-existent. So the first one I have is to drink ice cold water all day long. And if you're someone who has urinary incontinence or frequency or urgency, this may scare you a little bit, but you guys, it doesn't need to be you sipping tons and tons of water, just tiny little sips of ice cold water, not room temperature water, not cold water, ice cold water, okay? That's gonna get your core temperature, your insides nice and chilly. Another thing you can do, there are so many brands out there that have cooling vests that are not necessarily the ones that you probably immediately thought of, where it's ice packs in them. There are ones that are just super thin. You would never even know that they are an ice vest. And so or a cooling vest. And you just put them in water, put them on, it keeps you nice and cool. They have the same design for neck wraps, for hats, for headbands, for wristbands, for ankle bands. There are so many of these products that you can put on in order to help keep your core temperature cool. So if you're one of those people that are like, I'm not gonna wear one of those vests, then great, you don't have to, but get something. Get these cooling points that are gonna cool your core temperature down even faster on you, okay? So the other thing that I have for heat intolerance is clothing. There are clothing brands, and I forgot off the top of my head what this one is called. I think it's like, I don't remember what it's called, but just Google or search on Amazon for cooling clothing. You can buy shirts and pants and socks that have the technology in them where they keep you cool. So just a simple clothing that you wear. You could wear capris if you're a female or man. You could wear capris instead of pants or shorts or dresses just to get more airflow. Okay, done with heat intolerance, do those things. The second thing I want to talk to you about is posture. And this is a huge one lately. So whether you are using, let me back up, specifically posture with walking. So whether you're using an assistive device or nothing at all for walking, this can pertain to you. So let me back up for a minute. Okay, so the issue that I have been seeing all the time when people are walking is they're walking like this. Whether you're using an assistive device, a cane, crutches, a walker, anything, or nothing at all, people are walking like this. I'm exaggerating, but they're walking like this. And people will say, you know, so-and-so is telling me I have to fix my posture, my back isn't strong enough, you know, I'm slouching. Well, let me tell you, if you're walking the way I just demonstrated, your back is perfect, you guys. Your posture is fine. It's your hips. If you're like this, your back is not slouched. It's not like this. If you're walking like this, you need posture help. But if you're walking like this, where you're just hinged at your hips, it's a hip issue. There are exercises you can do to get your butt under you and then walk from there. Does that make sense? So if you are like this, it's an indication that your hamstrings, which go all the way from the bone that we sit on down to our knees, they're weak. Because when they're strong, they pull your hips under you. And then you can walk from there. So often, when someone has bad posture, when you're walking, it's not a back issue. It's not that your back needs to be stronger. It's that your hips need to be stronger and your glutes and your hamstrings to get your butt underneath you so that you can walk well and tall. So I don't have room in here right now to explain those exercises to you. There are tons that you can do from a lying down position, a seated position, a standing position. There are so many exercises, but my tip for today is just know that if you're walking that way, it's your hips and your butt muscles, not your back. Then the last tip that I want to talk to you guys about is functional exercise. A brain and spinal cord and nerves that have multiple sclerosis do not have the same carryover as a brain that doesn't have MS. Meaning, if you do an exercise to strengthen any muscle group, it may not mean that those muscles will help you when you're walking. So a functional exercise means that you have to break down the task that's hard for you to do and do that as an exercise. So one of my favorite examples is I love the exercise called a straight leg raise, which I can't demonstrate super well, but I'm going to try. Usually you're lying on your back and you have one leg bent and one leg straight. And you lift your leg up and down and up and down, nice and slow. Fantastic exercise for your hip flexors. However, your brain, when it has MS, and your nerves, when they have MS, does not have that carryover to realize, oh, I just did a straight leg raise, that is strengthening my hip flexor, which then means I can use my hip flexors to march when I'm standing up and need to walk to bring my leg forward. So instead of doing that exercise, because you could be perfect at that exercise, but your walking is still bad. Why? Because you're not doing the exercises for walking. So for this tip, all I want to tell you guys is write down or just think in your head or say out loud the things that are hard for you to do throughout the day. Most commonly, what I've been hearing lately is getting into and out of a car, walking, and standing up. So guess what you're going to practice? Those three things. And if you're thinking, well, Gretchen, I can't do those things, it's because they're so hard for me to do, that's fine. Break those tasks down. For example, getting in and out of a car, what do you need to be able to do? You need to be able to sit in a chair, get your leg up and over, and the other one up and over. This right here, what I'm doing right now, should be an exercise that you practice. Up and over. Up and over. So this, for me, the way I'm facing right now would be if I'm the passenger. If I'm going to be the driver, guess which way I'm going? Just practice this task. And if you don't have the strength in your legs to do that, try your hardest to get it up and over, and then your arms can help the rest of the way. But the second you just use your arms the whole time, you're not going to get any stronger. So I hope these three tips make sense to you guys. Let me know if you have any questions at all or if they were helpful, and I'm excited to give you guys even more information within these next coming months. Have a great day.